All right, so we're diving into Hillbilly Elegy today.
Yeah.
You sent this one over, and I got to say, I was immediately intrigued.
Yeah.
Just the title alone, Hillbilly Elegy.
Right.
Like, it just evokes,
It draws you in.
it draws you in, yeah.
For sure.
There's, I feel like there's this whole world that we don't often hear about.
Right. Yeah. It's
That we're going to get a glimpse into.
it offers a glimpse into a part of America that's often overlooked and often misunderstood, I think.
Yeah, and it's a memoir.
It is. It's by J.D. Vance.
J.D. Vance.
And it takes us deep into the heart of working class white America, specifically Appalachia and the Rust Belt.
So not just a dry history lesson, but like his own personal...
It's his personal story woven in.
Okay, so like really experiencing it through his...
Through his lens, absolutely.
Yeah.
He grew up in Middletown, Ohio, which had a large population of Appalachian migrants.
Oh, wow.
And his family kind of embodies a lot of the struggles and contradictions that you find in that culture.
So we're not just getting
You're not getting just the statistics.
Just theories. You're getting a firsthand account.
A firsthand account. That's cool.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I found interesting, just looking at the book and some of the things about it, is the role that his grandparents play.
Yeah, Mama and Papa.
Yeah, Mom and Papa.
They were part of that wave of Appalachian migrants who moved north looking for work.
Right.
And they brought with them a very distinct set of values.
Interesting.
And a way of life that really shaped Vance's whole worldview.
Okay, I'm really curious about this this idea of hillbilly justice that I saw mentioned.
Yeah, it's
what is that?
It's kind of like a code of conduct.
It's about fierce loyalty, strong sense of honor.
Oh, wow.
And a willingness to use violence.
Oh, okay.
When necessary.
So defending family.
Defending family, defending community.
Okay, yeah.
No matter the cost.
So there's this deep sense of community.
Yeah.
And, protecting your own.
Yeah.
But it also seems like there's this potential.
It's a double-edged sword, right?
Yeah, yeah.
There's that potential for violence.
Yeah.
And conflict.
And Vance doesn't shy away from that.
No, he doesn't.
He talks about seeing violence as a child.
Yeah.
Like within his own family.
In his family, yeah.
Community around him.
In the community,
I thought it was interesting. He even mentions like how his mama, this like tough as nails woman, who adored him, taught him how to punch a bully in the stomach.
Yeah, to defend a weaker classmate.
Yeah, defend a weaker classmate.
It's like,
wow,
it's complicated.
It's
complex.
That's quite an image.
Yeah,
and it really speaks to that. That violence was just kind of like.
It was a normalized thing.
Normalized, yeah.
It's seen as a natural part of life.
A natural part of life.
Yeah, and you get that sense.
Wow.
He really paints a vivid picture through these anecdotes of his childhood that violence was almost like a language.
Oh, wow.
A way of communicating.
That's interesting.
Resolving conflict.
Makes you wonder how growing up surrounded by that impacts a child.
Right.
Their development, emotional well-being.
And emotional well-being.
It must have had a profound effect on Vance.
Undoubtedly.
Yeah.
And the book actually goes into the long-term consequences of what he calls adverse childhood experiences.
Oh, interesting.
And I don't want to spoil too much.
Right, right.
But suffice to say, his childhood wasn't exactly idyllic.
Okay, so we've got this this backdrop of this very specific culture.
Yeah. This community. And its unique set of values. Its own unique set of values.
And ways of dealing with the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm curious about the setting itself.
Yeah.
You mentioned Middletown, Ohio.
Yeah, Middletown was once a thriving industrial town. Okay. A place where people like Vance's grandparents could find steady work, build a decent life.
Right.
But by the time Vance came along, things were changing.
It sounds like, we're talking about decline of the Rust Belt.
Yeah.
The loss of
manufacturing jobs.
Yeah, manufacturing jobs.
Devastated so many communities.
Dark rhetoric.
Yeah, and Middletown kind of became a microcosm of that larger trend.
Okay.
Vance puts it, it went from being a symbol of the American dream.
Oh, wow.
To a place where that dream seemed to be slipping away.
Yeah, so there's this disillusionment.
Disillusionment, yeah.
Of watching.
Something that disappeared.
Yeah, like the opportunities your parents, your grandparents had slowly disappear.
And that creates a tension then.
Right, tension.
Because on the one hand, you're being raised with these traditional values.
Hard work, self-reliance.
Yeah,
you know?
But on the other hand...
But then the economic reality.
Yeah, that's not
matching
up to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's...
that promise.
It's like the ground is shifting underneath you.
Yeah.
And the old rules
don't apply anymore.
Don't apply.
Yeah.
I can see how that would create a lot of frustration.
Absolutely. Resentment sets the stage for a lot of the conflicts and challenges that he talks about.
Okay.
In the book, you see this disconnect between the values he was raised with and the realities he was facing.
Yeah.
Creates a sense of unease.
Yeah.
Of not belonging.
Makes me think about the kids growing up.
Yeah.
In Middletown.
During that time.
Yeah. Like, what were their aspirations? You know, did they still believe in the American dream? Or had that become...
a myth.
Yeah, like a...
Yeah, it's a question that Vance grapples with throughout the book. He talks about how even as a child, he and his peers could sense that traditional path to a good life, you know?
Getting the job at the steel mill.
Getting the job at the mill, buying a house, raising a family. Was becoming less and less attainable.
So there's almost this underlying pessimism of
like the future.
The future isn't what
isn't as bright as it once was.
And yet, here's J.D. Vance. Who manages to like break free from this and achieve like a level of success.
Defy the odds.
That few in his community could have imagined. Almost like a paradox, you know? It's like, how
did he do it?
Yeah, how did he do it?
What factors allowed him to defy the odds? Those are questions we'll explore further as we delve deeper.
Yeah, for sure.
Into the book.
Yeah, it really makes you wonder how someone navigates that shift. Going from a world where, you know, the American dream feels like a fading memory. To a place like Yale Law School.
Yeah, it's a huge leap.
It's a huge leap.
Geographically and culturally.
Yeah.
It's you know, what did Vance have to
like what did he
learn, unlearn?
Unlearn.
Yeah, maybe even confront about himself.
Yeah.
To bridge that gap.
What's fascinating is that the book doesn't offer like a simple
doesn't offer a simple rags to riches narrative.
Yeah, rags to riches narrative.
Yeah.
He's really honest about the struggles he faced.
Very honest.
Even after leaving Middletown. He talks about feeling like an outsider at Yale.
Yeah.
You know, grappling with this sense of...
Yeah, not quite belonging. In either world.
In either world, wow.
Yeah.
That must have been incredibly isolating at times.
Yeah, he talks about struggling to connect with his classmates.
Oh, wow.
Feeling like he was constantly code switching, you know, trying to fit in, but also holding on to his roots.
Right.
And this is where his relationship with his girlfriend, Usha, becomes really interesting.
Usha. Yeah, I remember reading about her.
Yeah.
In some of the reviews.
Yeah.
She comes from a very different background than Vance.
Very different, yeah.
What role does she play in his journey?
She's, I think of her as a catalyst for his personal growth.
Okay.
She challenges his preconceived notions.
Okay.
Pushes him to think critically about his own beliefs and biases.
Wow.
And she does it with a directness that he initially finds jarring, but ultimately learns to appreciate.
It makes you wonder if that outside perspective is crucial.
I think it is.
For personal growth.
I think if we only surround ourselves with people who share our background and viewpoints, do we ever really challenge ourselves?
To see the world differently.
Yeah. That's a great point.
And it's not just about Usha, right?
Right.
Vance talks about the importance of mentors.
Mm-hmm.
He met along the way.
Yeah.
People who saw his potential.
Yeah. Helped him navigate unfamiliar territory.
Right. It seems like that kind of guidance and support was crucial for his success.
He highlights the role of social capital.
Oh, okay.
The idea that success isn't just about individual effort.
Right.
It's also about having access to the right networks and support systems.
Right.
And that's something that people from Vance's background often lack.
Yeah.
They don't have those same connections, the same understanding of the unwritten rules of the game.
So even when you're brilliant and capable, those invisible barriers.
Can be hard to overcome.
Yeah.
Without someone to guide you through that maze.
Yeah, and I'm guessing that mentorship was especially important.
Oh, absolutely.
For Vance, given
the stark contrast.
Yeah, the stark contrast.
Between his upbringing and the world he was entering.
Yeah. But even with all that support, even as he's achieving these incredible things, Vance never fully escapes the pull of his past.
Right.
The influence of his family.
His family, yeah.
And especially Mama.
Especially Mama, right.
Ma. We talked about her earlier.
Yeah.
That fierce loyalty and tough love.
Yeah, complex character.
Yeah, it sounds like she was...
real driving force in his life.
A driving force in his life. But how does her presence manifest?
Yeah.
As he's going through these major life changes.
It continues to be a source of both strength and conflict.
Oh, wow.
He talks about, calling her for advice.
Right.
Seeking her approval.
Oh.
Even as he's navigating the halls of Yale Law School.
It's like he needs her grounding presence.
Yeah, needs that grounding.
Even as he's trying to distance himself from the world she represents.
From the world she represents.
It's almost like there are these invisible threads.
Yeah.
Connecting him back to his roots.
Yeah, those threads.
No matter how far he travels. Or how much he achieves.
Right.
There's something very powerful about that, the idea. Our pasts continue to shape us, even as we're trying to move forward.
Even as we try to move forward.
And it's not always a smooth process.
It's not always a smooth process.
Vance is honest about the emotional scars that he carries.
Yeah, the
scar his childhood.
Yeah.
The anger, the resentment.
Resentment.
That sometimes surface.
Yeah, that surface.
Even in the midst of his success.
It's
like it really challenges this notion that, if you just work hard enough.
Yeah, you can leave it all behind.
You can leave your past behind.
Right.
Reinvent yourself. It suggests that there's a deeper level.
Yeah.
Of emotional work involved.
It's emotional work, absolutely.
A process of coming to terms with who you are and where you come from.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And it makes you wonder, is there a cost to achieving the American dream?
Yeah.
Is there a part of yourself you have to sacrifice or suppress in order to fit in, to succeed in a world that's very different from your own?
Those are really thought-provoking questions.
Yeah.
Makes you realize that Hillbilly Elegy is about so much more.
So much more.
Than just one man's journey.
One man's personal journey.
Yeah. It's a story.
It touches on these universal themes. Of identity.
Belonging.
The interplay between our pasts and our presence.
Yeah, it is.
And I think it's a story that resonates with a lot of people.
Yeah.
Regardless of their background. It speaks to that human desire to find our place in the world.
Right.
To reconcile who we are with who we want to be.
But let's not forget that, Vance's story is also very specific. To a particular place and time.
We're a particular place and time, yeah.
He's writing about the decline of the Rust Belt, the loss of the American dream.
For a whole segment of society.
Yeah,
it's woven throughout the book.
Okay.
He talks about the impact of globalization.
Right.
The loss of manufacturing jobs.
Yeah.
The sense of hopelessness that pervaded his community.
Right.
And he connects those broader economic trends to the personal struggles he witnessed in his own family.
Right.
And amongst his peers.
So it's not just a story about...
It's not just about
individual choices.
Choices and failures. It's about the systems and the structures that create barriers for certain groups of people.
Exactly. And I think that's one of the things that makes Hillbilly Elegy so important. It forces us to look beyond those individual narratives.
Right.
To consider those larger...
social and economic forces.
Yeah, social and economic forces.
That shape our lives.
Yeah.
And he does it in a way that's both personal and relatable.
Yeah, he's not just like lecturing us about
these issues.
He's inviting us into his world.
Right. He's sharing his own vulnerabilities.
And struggles. It's that combination of personal storytelling and social commentary that makes it so compelling.
Right.
Allows us to connect with Vance on an emotional level. To see the world through his eyes.
Grapple with these complex issues in a way that feels both personal and profound.
Before we jump into the final part of our deep dive,
I
want to circle back to something we touched on earlier, this concept of Adverse childhood experiences.
ACCs.
ACs, yeah.
Yeah, he explores this in the book.
Okay.
And it's a crucial element of his story.
Right.
As well as the larger narrative about the challenges facing communities like Middletown.
He talks about witnessing violence. Experiencing instability at home.
Instability, yeah.
And how those early traumas
shaped his development. And worldview.
It makes you realize that these experiences don't just vanish.
Right. They have a ripple effect.
Yeah.
You know, that can impact a person's physical and emotional.
For years.
Decades to come. And he goes beyond just sharing anecdotes. He delves into the research on ACEs.
Oh, wow.
The scientific evidence that shows how these early traumas increase the risk of addiction, mental health issues, even chronic diseases later in life.
So it's not just about individual resilience.
No.
Willpower.
It's about understanding the deep-seated impact.
Of trauma.
How it can alter the course of a person's life.
Yeah, and it brings up this whole other layer of the conversation.
This whole other layer.
How do we address these systemic issues? How do we break these cycles of trauma?
Yeah, how do we break those cycles?
That are so deeply
embedded
in certain communities. That's a question that Vance grapples with, right?
He does.
I'm curious to hear, his perspective.
Yeah, how he balances
personal responsibility with the need for systemic change. Yeah, that's something we can delve into further in the next part of our deep dive.
But for now, I think it's worth leaving the listener with this question.
Okay.
How does understanding the concept of ACEs change your perspective on poverty, addiction, and the challenges facing communities like the one Vance grew up in?
It definitely adds a layer of complexity. Nuance
to the conversation. It makes you realize that these issues are far more interconnected than we often acknowledge.
And
it underscores the need for a more holistic approach to addressing them.
Yeah, a more holistic approach.
For sure.
It's interesting how Hillbilly Elegy kind of walks this line between personal experience and social commentary.
Yeah.
Vance doesn't shy away.
He doesn't.
From critiquing the culture. That he believes contributes to. Yeah, the struggles
of his community. But he does it with empathy. Understanding, having lived it himself.
He doesn't let anyone off the hook, including himself.
Right.
He talks about the learned helplessness. The tendency to blame external forces rather than taking ownership of one's choices. But he also acknowledges the systemic barriers. The lack of opportunity, the breakdown of community that make it so difficult to break free from those cycles.
It's like he's saying, look, here's the hand I was dealt. Here's how the game is rigged.
But here's how I learned to play it differently. Right.
There's a sense of agency there.
There is,
But also a recognition that the playing field
isn't level.
No. And it makes you wonder.
Yeah, what does real change look like?
In
these communities? Is it about individual...
Is it about bootstrapping?
Yeah.
Or does it require more fundamental shift in the social and economic landscape?
Those are tough questions.
And
I appreciate that Vance doesn't offer easy answers.
No easy answers.
Yeah, he doesn't pretend to have all the solutions. No.
But he offers a perspective.
Yeah, that's often missing. From these conversations.
A voice from within
the
very community he's analyzing.
It's that authenticity. That willingness to be
both critical
and
compassionate.
That makes Hillbilly Elegy so thought-provoking. Challenges us to move beyond stereotypes. To see the humanity in those who are often labeled and dismissed. It also forces us to confront.
Some uncomfortable truths.
About the American dream.
About the American dream.
Is it truly attainable?
For everyone. Or is it increasingly elusive for those born into certain circumstances?
These are questions that Vance grapples with.
He does throughout the book.
Yeah, and I think they're questions
And I think they are.
that we all need to be asking ourselves.
Absolutely.
Especially in today's world, where the gap between the haves and have-nots
seems to be widening.
Hillbilly
Elegy serves as a reminder that these aren't just abstract issues. They're playing out.
Yeah, in real life.
In real lives.
Yeah.
In communities across the country.
It's a reminder that we can't afford to
ignore these voices.
These
experiences. We need to understand the root causes of these problems.
To
challenge our own assumptions.
Right.
And to work towards creating a society that offers genuine opportunity for all.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the one thing you hope our listener takes away?
I think it boils down to this.
Okay.
We need to listen with empathy and curiosity to those whose experiences are different from our own. Hillbilly Elegy is an invitation to step outside of our comfort zones, to challenge our preconceived notions about class and culture, and to engage in a more nuanced and compassionate conversation about the challenges facing our nation.
And to recognize that the American dream, while still a powerful aspiration, is not a one-size-fits-all formula.
One-size-fits-all.
It looks different for everyone.
The
path to achieving it
is rarely straightforward. Absolutely. And as you delve into Hillbilly Elegy, I encourage you to keep this in mind. What does the American dream mean to you? And what are the systemic barriers that prevent so many from achieving it?
It's a book that will stay with you.
I think so.
Long after you finish reading it, prompting you to question.
To reflect.
And hopefully to engage. In a more meaningful way. With the complexities of our world.
Absolutely.
So dive deep. Stay curious. And let J.D. Vance's story be a catalyst for your own exploration. Of these vital issues. Until next time, keep learning. And keep those deep dives going.
Keep diving deep.